Hey everyone, what's going on? This is Max from Unsubscribed Healthcare, and I wanted to go over with you guys how to add more questions to your form to PDF, or if you change any of the questions. So you can see here it says, what is your date of birth? Generally, I don't have what is your street address, what is your city, or what is your zip code after that. If we come here to the PT Data Center 1.8, you can see I am on the patient subjective. This is the subjective and consent to treat. This one is the one that you can add, change, or modify to however you need, except for these first four questions. Otherwise, this programming won't work. Okay, so here we look at row 14. This is where all of the question titles are held. And so you can see here, what is your patient ID? What is your date of birth, right? So we added questions in after that, but we don't see them in the column that's next to it. It still goes to what is your relevant past medical history. So if we come here, you can see that that is the next question, even though we have all these other questions. And the reason is because once you create the form, and add questions in, Google will go ahead and just add the questions to the very end. So you have your questions already preset, and then we come over here, right? So you can see what is your street address, what is your city, and what is your zip code. So those are the three that I added, and they've been added on to the very end. If we come back to this area, and if we change what is your relevant past medical history to how are you feeling? Okay. Come back here. And you can see that they changed the title for that question, right? What is your date of birth? And now it says, how are you feeling? So these will change automatically based off if you change them yourselves in the Google form. So if we want to then update so that our PDF now has this new information, you're going to have to do a couple of things, right? So first you have to add those questions in or change your questions, and then afterwards you're going to come over to the form to PDF. If you're changing the questions will still populate in here, and it won't be a problem. But if you are adding new questions, you're going to have to add these curly brackets over here. So if we wanted to add a new question, say, because I forgot the state, we're going to add one here. What state do you live in? Okay. We'll come back to the PT data center, and then we're going to do curly brackets, and you're going to do two of them, the number 35 and curly brackets again. That's because this is the 35th question. Here, it's really easy. What you want to do is you want to highlight both column B and C on the very last row that you have populated. You're going to drag it down. You're going to see that it's the same as the one above it, and that's okay. We'll come here and we'll double check and see, yep, if C35 does not equal blank, then do C35. If not, make it so it's blank. So that's just a formula that I had to do in order to get this thing to work properly. But you can see that it's going 34, 34, 35, 35. Good. So it's numerically increasing by 1 as we go up one row. Okay, so that one looks all set. We come to the one that's next to it, and we can see here that we want to change this around a little bit, this formula. Because what it's doing is it's looking up K2. If we look at K2, you can see it's the patient's name and ID. And it wants to pull the information from the patient subjective, which is the tab that we were on before, which houses all of the patient subjective and consent to treat information. So here you can see it says A14 to AH, and then it has the number 34 and false. What this says is that it wants you to look up for this information, so the patient's name and ID, inside patient subjective, look through column A14, and you're going to go all the way through column AH. Okay, we need to add one more because we added one more question. So E, F, G, H, I. So the next one is I, so we're going to do I, and we're going to do 35. Okay, you can see that this is blank because in the patient subjective, when we added this, we didn't put in a state and the patient didn't have it update. So you would just type in mass, and then you come back over here, and now you can see that mass has been added there. So this will now populate onto the form to PDF. If we want to update the form to PDF, we would come to our package the PT Elite package, go into templates, go into Form2PDF template, and then you're going to click on the Form to PDF. I've already opened it here. So now you can see what is your name, date of birth. I've already added in street address, city, and zip. But if I want to put the city and then the state in between, it's easy enough. I'm going to do state, curly brackets, and then this was 35 because I did them out of order. Right? So when I made that question, I put it in after I put in zip code. If I wanted to make it correct, I could just put in what is your current state and then what is your zip code, and I could change these two questions around. That gets complicated. I'm not going to do it because I would get confused personally. Okay, so in here you can see now that it's been updated. We want to make sure that it looks updated here. If you don't like how this looks, the reason I did it inside a template for a presentation or slides is because it makes it a lot easier for you to like move stuff around. I just found on Google Docs it was more restricted and didn't allow you to have that free movement to really customize where you wanted it. If they have lines that have multiple, or if they have answers that have multiple lines, this stuff can get pushed off and cut off here. So if you did want to add a lot more questions or anything else, you would want to come here, and then I'm going to just highlight and copy, then delete. And I'm going to duplicate this slide. And then I'm going to highlight and paste. And now you can see that I have a lot more room. If those answers are multiple lines, then I'll still have a lot more room and it will be complete and all that information won't get cut off. But again, you can change your logo and everything else here. The only thing that happens when you add more questions is that if you go to the patient's objective and all of this information that I did up here, unfortunately, because you have to program it in order to tell it which columns and everything else to bring forward, you're not going to be able to have it bring forward, update, or clear, or delete. Well, when it deletes a row, but you won't be able to do the search, clear, update of the additional questions. You'll still be able to update the old ones. So if you didn't like some of the questions that I did, you can easily just change them again to how are you feeling, or whatever you need to change it to. And then I would also do it here, right? Because we did birthday, and then we can do how are you feeling. So that way when you do search or anything else, you'll know the question that it's asking and not necessarily the old question that was being asked. I hope that makes sense. I hope this clears up a few things that you guys were having troubles with. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, comment below, or also join the Facebook and ask for more discussions there. All right, Max signing out.